Talk, you can get a Samsung Galaxy A51 for just $199. Plus, get the $45 unlimited talk, text, and data plan with no contract on America's best networks for up to 50% less. Tune out the nonsense and tune in to Straight Talk. Straight Talk Wireless. No contract, no compromise.
You'll get access to real live CPAs and tax experts 7 days a week. They'll help you get your maximum refund guaranteed. I double pinky promise it. So don't get stranded while doing your taxes. Get the help you need. File for less and get more with TaxAct. Start for free at taxact.com. See taxact.com for complete details.
Monday on Barton Hahn, Houston, we have a problem. There's more than meets the eye going on in Houston, and we're going to dig a little bit deeper. That's Monday on Barton Hahn, 12 o'clock Eastern on ESPN Radio and ESPN+.
The journey to the tourney continues. Tomorrow in the ACC, ninth-ranked Virginia heads to Tallahassee to face number 17 Florida State. Coverage begins at 6:30 Eastern on ESPN Radio.
Coming up Monday, we're back from Valentine's Day weekend and showing some love to the AFC West. We'll tell you if the Broncos can finally lock down a franchise quarterback and who's closest to catching the Chiefs. Keyshawn, J. Will, and Zubin, 6 a.m. Eastern on ESPN Radio.
The Max Kellerman Show.
Among the nucleus players, the great players, the franchise players, you're looking at championships. Why is Tom Brady the GOAT? Because he won 7 Super Bowls. If Tom Brady was sitting on 2 or 3 Super Bowls with the same stats he has in the regular season, would he be the GOAT? No. We're counting rings. If Jordan had 3 championships and LeBron's on 5 now, would everyone be calling Jordan the GOAT? We're counting rings. In football and basketball, we're counting rings. So, forgive the players. If they're like, oh, you're counting rings? Great, I got to get me some rings. It used to be, Dan Marino had at least a Super Bowl ring. We could compare him to Joe Montana. 1 is not enough among the all-time greats. You need multiple rings now. So Russell Wilson isn't trying to stay put and end his career with 1 championship.
The Max Kellerman Show, weekdays at 2 Eastern on ESPN Radio. Watch exclusively on ESPN+. On Monday, and we'll play QB or not QB in the AFC West. We'll tell you why the Raiders should fold the Derek Carr era in Vegas just yet. Keyshawn, J. Will, and Zubin, 6 Eastern on ESPN Radio.
Does this make the list, Katie George, here on this Valentine's Day on ESPN Radio? Best week ever? Is this on the late night jams? See, you're so young, you didn't get mixtapes. Nobody ever made you a mixtape.
I can already tell I'm not going to like this music theme. No offense, Mikey C.
Well, don't blame Mikey C. Mikey C's merely pressing the buttons. It was my idea. It's Valentine's Day. I want to play these love songs here on Sunday morning jams here on ESPN Radio, like the late night radio shows back in the day.
What's the song from? Now that I'm thinking about it, from Top Gun, when Tom Cruise and the professor get it on.
Oh no! Wait,
that's a love jam. That's a jam, a slow jam.
Listen, I'll play anything from the Top Gun soundtrack, and I will declare it to be a love jam. The movie is so damn good. Even the shirtless volleyball scene. Yes, we could do Highway to the Danger Zone. Anything by Kenny Loggins, I think, could be a love jam. We'll play those. Give us your suggestions on what's on quote unquote your Valentine's Day list playlist. Katie_George05 at Peter Burns ESPN. We are 1 month away from the NCAA tournament, which is kind of interesting, and I'm still trying to find my footing on this year. As the top 16 seeds came out from the NCAA, they decided to release it, much like college football playoff does, Katie, where they kind of give you a little bit of taste of what to expect. And I think we all expected Gonzaga and Baylor to be the top 2 seeds. We saw Michigan and Ohio State filling out that top 4. But what I frankly was surprised with is Big Ten is stacked, right? I mean, you got 3 of the top 5 teams. Big 12 has 5 of the top 16. Where was your ACC? What in the world is going on in the water in the ACC when it comes to college hoops right now? Didn't see Duke, didn't see North Carolina. Hell, they might not even make the tournament. Incredible.
I know, it's insane. You got Virginia ranked at number 9, I think, in the top 16 that was released, but that's the only team from the ACC that's currently even being considered. I mean, you've got Virginia Tech. We had Mike Young on a couple of weeks ago. Mm-hmm. He's done a phenomenal job there, but when you talk about North Carolina, Duke, Louisville even is often in that conversation. I mean, they're struggling. And could you imagine an NCAA tournament without Duke in it? I mean, I can't. And so you're hopeful that maybe they're able to make a strong push this last month of regular season basketball. But, I mean, there is not going to be a strong contingency from the ACC represented at the national tournament, which is mind-boggling to me.
Well, it's mind-boggling, but I also, in the question is, does it make for a better NCAA tournament, right? I mean, Gonzaga, honestly, is the biggest name because we've known Mark Few's program out there for so long. It feels like for 2 decades. It's like, since Adam Morrison and even back before that, the Zags have been a fantastic, quote-unquote, college basketball team. But outside of that, we're used to having Coach K, and we're used to having Roy Williams. We're used to having even Coach Cal's squad up in Lexington to make a run. And I found this to be interesting. Here's Seth Greenberger, ESPN college basketball analyst on the Sports Center yesterday, talking about the challenges for Blue Bloods right now in the committee to make the tournament.
Let's understand that Kentucky and Duke are not in the conversation for the NCAA tournament unless they win their conference tournament. Kansas, on the other hand, I think they can play themselves up. But here's the issue for the committee. They're going to come out with their top 16 today in this moment in time. How do you evaluate teams that are on pause? How do you evaluate teams that haven't played for a month? And then how do you evaluate unbalanced schedules? Because, I mean, to me, that's kind of the big question right now. You're trying to seed the tournament. You're trying to give kind of a snapshot of where we are in this moment in time. But this moment in time, you look at Michigan, you look at Florida State. They haven't played in weeks and some months. So you look at a team like St. Louis, who was playing as well as any team in the country from the A-10. They come off pause, and you're just not going to be the same team. So how the committee looks at that, and then remember now, once these teams get selected in the NCAA tournament, to play in the tournament, they have to have 7 consecutive days of negative tests, or they do not play in the Final Four or the NCAA tournament.
So I found it to be extremely interesting for 2 different reasons, Katie. One of them being the fact that you've got Seth Greenberg saying, hey, we're not going to see Blue Bloods. Okay, I am kind of curious.
Unless they win the ACC tournament.
Right, unless they win these tournaments, which, by the way, Kentucky has an opportunity, because I am wondering, and it brings it up to my second point, about how many of these teams, knowing that you got to have, 7 consecutive days without having any kind of test, how many of these, quote-unquote, no-brainer teams are going to call it and just say, I'm not playing in their conference tournaments? I mean, I think it's a conversation that's being had in the shadows of college basketball. Of course, the commissioners want it. Of course, the leagues want it because there's so much television money. Of course, probably ESPN wants it because of the programming. But if I'm legitimate a 3 seed, a 2 seed right now, and I'm thinking, all right, do I want to go participate in a tournament, which, yeah, it'd be pretty nice to win a conference title. There's no doubt about it. I'll be able to fly the banner forever. But if for whatever reason, my team in traveling to this tournament tests positive, or 1 or 2 players, and I can't, and I have to have a pause on my team, and I can't play the NCAA tournament, am I willing to risk that? I think that's one of the storylines that's going to be talked about over the next month or so.
Okay, so take that a step further, though. So say in the Big Ten, you have your top teams say, we're not going to play. Then what happens to... No, let's actually go with the ACC because this was an actual example that we can use with Duke. Say Virginia says, we're not doing it. We're not going to play in the ACC tournament. Say Florida State, who's currently on a pause. That's somebody I should have mentioned, that they obviously will hopefully make the NCAA tournament depending on how they come back from their current pause. If you have a couple of your best teams sit out, Pete, then what happens to Duke's chances if they do win the ACC tournament? Do you know what I mean? Is the tournament the automatic bid? Are they still going to honor that given just the landscape and how different everything is this year?
Yeah, I mean, it's fascinating because think about, I mean, we went, and this is the same situation that the college football playoff committee had to decide when going, well, what are we going to do about Ohio State? They didn't play as many games, but they looked pretty good. Oh, we're going to change the rules. I still think, as much as we think sports is back to normal, which it kind of feels like it, even though we're not seeing fans, it isn't normal, right? Like, it isn't the same. And so the committee is going to have to look at these conference tournaments and wonder, hey, what happens if all of a sudden a team can't win? I mean, I go back and look, and I cover the SEC day to day, and Florida, Mike White's squad back down in Gainesville, pretty good team, probably going to be about a 7 or 8 seed, according to Joe Lunardi. Didn't play Texas A&M yesterday because of a pause because of Texas A&M had some COVID-related issues. That actually helped Florida, right? Because even if they win, it doesn't really help their resume any because, in fact, A&M's such a bad team this year that it would have actually hurt their resume. And losing would have really hurt them and would have knocked them down on some of the seeds. So I do think the seeding is going to come into play on some of these teams. Now, I still think the competitor, Katie, you would think that they would want to play. But maybe the smart choice is for some of these programs to be like, perhaps not so much. Perhaps sitting out may not be the best thing, or it may be the best thing if you're Virginia Cavaliers coming up.
I could understand if a team said they didn't want to and why they would sit out. But also at the same time, I think about those players. Usually speaking, conference tournaments are the highlight or one of the most fun portions of your season.
No doubt.
I think, and obviously this year will be different because, you know, from a fan standpoint, it's not going to be the same. You know, they're not maybe going to be in the given destination or location that they were supposed to be in just because COVID-19 has caused so many changes to scheduling and just plans in general. But I would hate to see players not get to participate in a conference tournament because they're weary of it possibly knocking them out or not being able to play the next week, the following week in Indianapolis. Like, I would hate to see that because I think back to my times playing in conference tournaments, those were some of the funnest weeks that I had as a college athlete, just having everybody in the same location and just the camaraderie and then just what goes down at conference tournaments. I mean, the competition is so good because there's so much on the line.
Yeah, and these teams know each other really well, so you can see kind of chaos. And I'm hoping that there is a little bit of chaos coming up. And it feels like just, even though Gonzaga and Baylor are that good, mentally it feels like it's more open because we don't have, quote-unquote, these brands out there. And maybe this is a year that we don't get in college football, right? Why we should be celebrating college basketball is because we feel like, hey, not one of the 1%ers, not one of the blue bloods can actually win in college football, right? You can't have all of a sudden a Mississippi coming up next on ESPN Radio.
Greeny, and we'll see you Monday as it'll be President's Day. We will have a special President's-themed green list, and we will talk to one of the all-time greats, the Doctor, Julius Irving, among my guests. Monday, Greeny, 10 a.m. Eastern on ESPN Radio and ESPN+.
Hey, honey.
Yep.
What do you want for Valentine's Day?
He says.
Nothing.